Thoughts are like airplanes flying in the air. If you ignore them, there is no problem. If you pay attention to them, you create an airport inside you and permit them to land. Once, a young man visited the elder for advice. Being simple-hearted, however, he couldn't restrain from listening to negative thoughts. These thoughts were acting as an obstacle to every good work he was trying to accomplish. Father Paisios, due to his discretion, realized that his negative thoughts were the cause of his problem, and told him the following. There was a man who used to say, "If I get married and have children, and my children are boys, and there's a war, they will have to join the army, and finally they will get killed. So there's no reason for me to get married." Then the elder turns to him and says, "Isn't that a silly thought?" "Yes," the young man replied. The elder went on, "Be careful, because you are doing the same thing. Bear in mind that you will never achieve anything good if you think and act this way." I always wondered how our saints managed to willingly endure their martyrdom, and how will we be able to acquire their tolerance, since the slightest headache can make us feel totally helpless. One day, as I was heading towards the cell of Father Paisios, I met him by the river situated 500 meters away from his cell. He had given the river the name Nile. He was cutting some wood from a chestnut tree in order to make a small bridge so people could cross the river without getting wet. He had just stopped his work and was ready to return to his cell because he had cut his left hand with a sharp edge of a piece of wood and was bleeding. I could detect in him a spirit of joy as he was looking at his hand over and over. Suddenly, he turns to me, showing the bleeding palm of his hand, and says, "You see, it looks like the crucified palm of Christ." When we arrived at his cell, we sat at the guest room, and I asked him, "Father, what made our saints not only endure their martyrdom, but also constantly feel joy about it, while we can't even stand the bite of a mosquito?" Everything has to do with having a correct thinking. If our thoughts are firmly secured in our faith, no one can ever take them away. Then he brought the Old Testament and told me that section 4 in the book of Maccabees explains very clearly how positive thoughts can help us disregard pain and torture. He began reading the text and explaining it to me. When he finished, he told me, "This text from the Old Testament clearly indicates that man is free, and with his good thoughts, he can overcome his passions and desires, whatever else derives from them." Father Paisios explicitly stressed that the words "I can't" have no validity in man's life. It is the words "I don't want" or "I don't love" which lead man to say "I can't." When people are tortured by a specific passion, they claim that a certain power prevents them from restraining and being good. They should know that this power, which acts as an obstacle, is rooted inside them. It can make them love, but it is turned to the wrong direction. Since they love their passions, it is natural that they are unable to get rid of them. When you love something, you want it, and you cannot let it go because you do not want to lose it. Finally, they must hate their passion and find something better to direct and transfer their love to. Otherwise, they are not able to transfer their love, and they will keep on suffering. Many times, people said to Father Paisios, "Father, I smoke and I cannot stop. What can I do?" "Do you want to stop smoking?" he asked in return. "Yes, I've tried many times without being able to stop." "Well, that's it. As of this moment, you will not smoke again, and God will help you." Then the person who suffered from this passion said, "Perhaps, Father—" Father Paisios interrupted them before they were able to conclude his sentence, and said with a sharp but trustful tone in his voice, "There is no perhaps, it is over. Do not consent to the thoughts that tell you that you might not make it." Father Paisios wanted to stress that we are free and self-dependent. If a passion rules our lives, it is because we consent to it. If we remain enslaved by it, we do it because we love our passion and want to be its slave. From the very moment we yearn for spiritual freedom and wish to abide in Christ, and we really want to, we are freed from our passions and become servants of God. All commandments are given by Christ to those who are enslaved by sin, and he tells them to leave sin aside and follow him instead. For this reason, God says to the thief, "Do not steal," To the unjust person, do not be unfair. To the adulterer, do not commit adultery. If we're forcingly and not willingly enslaved by sin, then why is God asking us to leave sin aside and come close to Him? Since He's telling us to do so on our own, it means that we are being subdued by our passions because we love and want them. The moment we hate them and direct our love towards God, we immediately become free. Therefore, it is of primary importance to realize our illness, that is, willingly siding with evil, and hate it and love good instead. Then we instantly acquire it.